What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel for another video in a new series that I'm very excited about. I can honestly tell you that I never once thought that I would be a pot farmer my entire life. But here we are. Welcome to Hoot's Hemp Farm, your favorite locally produced CBD. We have a pretty good looking field here. So this is a new industry that my family and I are exploring. This is our first year, and so far everything's been going perfectly and it's been a ton of fun. We got the field inspected, it all came back perfect and approved by the government, so now we can start harvesting because we had a couple freezing nights this week so far that have been like almost 30 degrees, so it's below freezing the one night. And it's just that time of year where you want to start harvesting anyway before winter. So here we are. I just wanted to come out, get a couple shots of the field to show you guys what the hell's going on before we start cutting these trees down and bucking them. So pretty excited. I'm not really sure where I'm going to go with this series. I want to try to explain everything as I go. It's going to be a fun adventure. I love adventures. We're also going to go over into the shop and check out the machine that I built. I designed and built my own side-by-side two-person bucking machine in less than 2 days. Like, it was about over a weekend I got it all done. So we'll go check out that in a little bit. We are finally out to get our last load from the field to hang up. All the other grinders out there, like, knowing how much work it is, I bet you know this feeling right here. We're so excited. We had 2,000 plants, about 500-ish of them didn't make it, and that's including the ones that just dried up in the field, but most of those from that number just didn't sprout. So yeah, roughly 1,500 plants that we pulled off. That's a lot.
It's dead.
Think like this. Okay, bucking and drying. So we've already filled the entire barn once, bucked it. The hayloft has been filled, bucked all that. We filled up the shop from end to end as close as we could get them without having them too close to where they won't dry. We bucked all that. Now we filled the entire barn up again, which is drying, with the rest of the field. We've had some pretty cold nights here in Minnesota, and it's snowed and melted a few times since we've had the hemp off the field. But now we're having highs of like 35 and lows of somewhere in the 20s at night. So winter's here to stay now. If it snows again, she's down for good. So thankfully we got all the hemp off the field. And now we just have this whole part of the barn. And then the addition is completely filled with all the hemp too. So I mean, this whole freaking thing is just stuffed. Except for the hayloft now, because we didn't need that much extra room. But as you can see, I mean, she is filled to the brim, man. All of this. Both sides, all the way down. Then you come into here to the addition. We got even more. All the way under there, all the way by them two back doors. It's freaking, she is full, man. So we have found that it's a lot easier to buck the hemp when it's dry. We did it up here wet bucking for a while, and it just took for freaking ever. So we discovered that it's a lot easier to do when it's dry. You'll hang them upside down, let them dry out for a while. Once you can grab them and the leaves just break right off, then you're good to go. If you're new to this like we were and you're thinking you're gonna do it wet, just take my word for it. Because if you do it wet, you have to build all the dry racks and you have to dry it anyway. So why not save money and not have to build all the racks and then just dry them out when they're together on a plant, and then bucket when they're already dry. Then you can put them right in a tote, slap the lid on, and bring them to get processed. So now after showing you this step, we're gonna go to the next step over at the shop where we're bucking it, and I'll show you the process there, and I'll show you the machine that I built in 2 days from complete scratch. So over here at the other shop, this is the same shop that I painted my bumper in when I built the move bumper for my pickup. Here's Dad. Him and Grandpa and Grandma have been slaving away down here. So after we let them dry, we put them in the trailer, we bring them in here where it's heated and let them dry for another day or two, and then buck them. All these totes full of buds that we eventually fill into these, what are these, 55-gallon construction bags? Full, so I mean we have like 12 bags full there. And all these totes, and we still have the whole barn to buck yet, so there's a lot of buds. Here is the bucking machine. We just have the head unit with variable speed. Comes down to the power control where you have your on-off switch. Plugs into 110. It's basically just a computer, like a monitor cord that plugs in here. Plug that in, and then has a series of rollers in the back and pulleys with a variable speed motor. Okay, so we'll power on. Cooling fan will start to kick on. And then get it into gear. I already have it set at the desired speed that works good for dry. So the good thing about this machine is there's the series of holes and plates for different sizes, for different stems. You can flip it the other way around so it's got a sharper edge. And you can do it for dry like we have it, or you can flip it around the other way and do it for wet and just speed the motor up. When you're doing it dry, you want to have a slower speed, otherwise they break apart and go everywhere. So we'll hit run, wheels will start spinning, and we'll send one through.
Ready?
Yep. Just like that. And then your empty stem just shoots out the back. So it does a pretty good job at cleaning them off. There's another one. Look at that. Look at that. Your little, ready? Mm-hmm. Keep your hand up by it so you catch the ones that break off. Perfect. Pretty nifty, huh? Yeah. So that machine, I set it up so 2 people can work side by side, and it's supposed to eliminate at least 15 people doing it by hand. So it saves you a lot of time, a lot of manpower, and you can do it both wet and dry on that machine. So it's a pretty good alternative. That's just my kind of rough model. I'm gonna make a prettier model and start selling them off. So if you're in the market, stay tuned. I'll get you a machine. So now that I showed you that step, I'm gonna show you the next step, which is trimming, where you have your full tote of buds that you just bucked. You throw them in the trimmer and it breaks all the leaves off and separates the leaves from the buds, so you have a clean product to bring to get processed. And this is our leaf trimmer / tumbler. So it just spins around there like a dryer. We have some 1/4-inch hardware cloth on there. You don't want to go any bigger than this, because if you go bigger, then the smaller buds after they're dry will fall right out. So this does a pretty good job at keeping some. Obviously some of the tiny ones are still going to fall out, but if you have the space cleaned or you have a tarp under there, you can pick them out later. But if you're the type that likes to save the leaves for other projects or other products, you can put a tote under there while it's spinning, and it'll literally dump all those leaves straight into the tote. So after you buck the hemp and all the buds are in the tote, you can literally dump a whole tote load in this 55-gallon drum from the top, You just open these 2 barn latches, flip the door open. You can dump a whole tote in there, and then when it's done, have her spun underneath like this with the tote that's empty, and then you can open the door and dump all the buds into the tote after they've been trimmed. It does a pretty good job. I don't have a tote up here right now, but there is some leaves left in there from the last load that I can show for an example. But we had all this stuff laying around the farm. That's a 55-gallon drum that we use to train our horses, you know, going around the pen and stuff and doing barrel racing. So we just had these left over. I had some scrap angle iron laying in the shop, so I used that. I just bent some tube steel, made a plate for the motor. This is just a, you know, just an electric dryer motor, whatever the hell it was for. It's just been laying here. And I had to buy the pulley, obviously. In order to slow it down enough, I had to get a 12-inch pulley. So just a, you know, a little bit of bro science there for you. That's fast. This is slow, you know, pulleys for those that don't understand. But I had to buy that, had to buy the axle shaft, and the bearings, and then just a lock plate. So I put a bolt through it. That way it spins with the axle. And then I screwed that into the barrel so the barrel spins with the axle. That way there's no slipping. So it works great. There is no variable speed, just with the motor that we had laying around, and there is no on-off switch. We just plug it in and unplug it to get it to move. And yeah, I'll plug it in and show you how it works. Plug it in, and she starts spinning. That's all the faster that you need to go. Otherwise, it starts to kind of break shit. But you can see everything rolling around in there real nice. So basically all it does is just tumble it, and then we have the boards the same as the outside. On the inside as like a fin, so it catches it and throws it like a dryer. And then it's got the hardware cloth so the air can come through and kind of blow things around too, and that lets it fall straight out on the bottom. You can see leaves falling out right now just of what I have left in there. Obviously when there's a full load, it just fills it. It's crazy. Does a really good job. So if you don't want to spend a bunch of money on a tumbler, here you go, guys. You can build one of these. Very low cost. I mean, we built this, and my dad and I, he helped me with this one. We built it in about 45 minutes, so didn't take long at all. And I mean, you could have a different setup. You could have someone sitting over here pedaling a bike to get it rolling, whatever. But you don't got to spend a shit ton of money on a tumbler if you don't want to. And here's some of the drying racks I was talking about when we were bucking wet. You have to put all the buds on here to dry anyway. That's when we discovered, why are we doing this when we could just dry the plants all intact and then buck them when they're dry, saving us this step, having to build all these and spend money on that. But basically, if you're planning on doing it wet, if you don't have that many plants, just a 2x2 frame with 2x4s to space them out so enough air can get through there. Then you'll just set up a couple fans to blow air through the racks, and then yeah, you can, it's a 4x8 frame here with just a screen like you'd put on your gazebo or something from Menards. So those are the drying racks. Like I said, we decided not to do it this way because with the amount of plants we have, it just makes more sense to dry them and buck them when they're dry. So now you know what these look like in case you're going to do it that way. And that is about it for this video, guys. I've showed you everything that we've done so far, all of the steps. We haven't taken any of the buds in to get processed into oil yet. So once we do that, I'll bring you along for the ride so you guys can all see and learn as we do, because we haven't seen that done yet either. So if you might as well subscribe to the channel now so you don't miss that video, because it's going to be coming up pretty soon. We're about to take all the stuff in. So yeah, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If not, that's cool too. But regardless, have a good ass night. And remember, life is short, so get out and do all the things. See you in the next one.